Today is Sunday, 22 October 2017. This video shows this video shows my son Caden in his car seat on May 6th or May 7th of 2017. I'm on the phone talking with the Houston Police Department, 911, and I've informed the officer that I was speaking with that I had a problem at Memorial Hermann Hospital in Houston, Texas, in the medical center, and that I needed to file criminal charges, bring criminal charges against people employed by that hospital that were unlawfully holding my wife. Now, right here you see a Child Protective Service investigator by the name of Paul Gonzalez. Although he entered my house under false pretense, he turned out to be a good person, and he made a credible affidavit that, although it could have been a little better, I'm very pleased with it. And the officers in the video, City of Houston police officers, they were allowed to come into my house. There's my son Caden. Now, right about here, they have been out here in the street for about 3 hours. They in all stayed about 5 hours. They Paul Gonzalez has saw the videos of the incident that CPS received a false report from employees of that hospital alleging that I physically abused my child. Without a warrant, he came out to investigate if he could corroborate these allegations, which were reported to CPS by way of a hotline. If he could have corroborated those allegations, then Texas law would authorize that CPS could remove my child, seize him without a warrant. Because he had no warrant, CPS had no warrant, the only way that Texas law and federal law authorizes CPS to enter my home is that there be an immediate emergency, and that they can, just like in 9/11, although those firefighters had no warrant, but because of an immediate emergency, the buildings were on fire and there were people inside needing to be rescued. So they were clothed with legal authority to not have to go to a magistrate to obtain a judicial warrant to enter those buildings, Twin Towers and other buildings that came down. Now I will now I'm skipping to other videos because it keeps going back and forth. Okay. There's my mom. They were purportedly were trying to get me to give my child to my mother, some family member. I refused all that. Requests. Notice they're making requests. Now, the reason why I refused requests is that they were unable to explain to me why would I do that. What legal or factual reason would I do that? A reason, by definition, is, quote, a statement that explains to the listener or reader as to why one should hold one's position, and also why the listener or reader also should hold one's position. After he had Paul Gonzalez explained to his supervisor, Tony Gonzalez, everything is recorded that I say, everything is can be backed up, will be backed up, and explained to her that he was unable to corroborate anything she told me that she didn't care, that she wanted to remove, actually seize my son anyway. And after about 5 hours, that's what they did. Let's see. Now, if I can, now we see the video after about 5 hours. Now, everybody knows that when there's an emergency to remove a child, or to put out a fire, or to rescue someone drowning, having a heart attack, time is of essence. You're not out here 5 hours trying to get me to voluntarily give to CPS my child. And that's going to hurt them in court. That's going to hurt them because, and they admit that the reason why they use the word because of his supervisor's concern for my mental stability. Not that there was an emergency it was necessary to immediately enter my place so they could seize my child for his own benefit, but for some concern for my mental stability, which I don't know how CPS would have occasion and be concerned about my mental stability. If you are investigating complaint alleging physical child abuse, then that's what your concern is about, the abuse, physical abuse, whether or not the allegations contained in the referral were true. You're not out here trying to make people become whatever it is you were trying to do, wanted to do. All that has nothing to do with the law. One's concerns. Declaration of Independence. In Congress, July 4, 1776. When the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people, a nation, to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, Monday, 29th. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people, a nation, to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth, the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and laws of nature's God entitled them a decent respect to opinions of mankind, requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Mankind requires that mankind should declare the causes which impel mankind to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women, rich and poor, are created equal. So if this be true, that means that people that are born blind, people that are born with, disabilities, nevertheless, according to these fathers, or dads or framers are created equal. That they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. That among these unalienable rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these said rights, that we are endowed by our Creator, guess what? Governments such as the United States of America and the state of Texas and all other states are instituted among men and women and children, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, which rights are endowed by their Creator, to alter or to abolish their governments, which are instituted among them. And to institute new governments, laying their foundation on such principles, rules, and organizing their powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to result in their safety and happiness. People need to be happy. People need to be safe. People want to be happy. People want to be safe. Prudence, indeed, will likely, or rather, prudence, indeed, will likely to effect their safety and happiness. So again, prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience had shown that mankind and womankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their God-given right, it is their God-given duty to throw off such government and to provide a new God, and to provide rather new gods. So government is God, a God. So governments are gods for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrained them to alter their former systems of government. New paragraph. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpation, such as for black people. We're not Africans. We were born in the United States. Had I been born in Africa and came to the United States, you could call me an African. Not that I'm a white African or a Caucasian African, but a black African, which is the race of which I am not the owner, but only a member. History of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts, by definition, something known to have occurred, be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his accent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his accent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish their rights of representation in the legislature, a right estimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolution, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise. The states remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization. So the United States has some kind of clue of what naturalization means in the sense of former President Obama not being born in the United States and not naturalized of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the condition of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. King George was doing all that in Great Britain. He has made judges dependent on his will alone, like Judge Phillips has by refusing to allow a public defender system in Harris County, and by making dependent on his wills the appointments of counsel that he appoints at taxpayer expense, his cronies. Again, he has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their office and the amount and payment for their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out of their substance. He has kept among us in time of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his accent to their acts of pretended legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders. Notice they use the word murders as opposed to killings, which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. So from this moment on, do not consider me a person. Do not consider me a citizen. You will consider Prophet Ronald Dwayne Whitfield, living among you, an inhabitant. For cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. The government of the United States, by and through the 16th Amendment, has imposed tax. That's why I tell them, don't play with me. I have not consented to anything. Like I told these people that came here into my home, I consented to nothing. For depriving us, in many cases, of the benefit of trial by jury. Never again. That's why God sent me. I am doing no plan. I am pausing here to state that on a day unknown to you, in November of the year of 2017, capital A, period, capital D, period, a food and water strike protest as a God-given right recognized by the first article of amendment in the United States Constitution. And Article 6 of the original Constitution tells the governor of the state of Texas, the attorney general of the state of Texas, and the FBI director of the state of Texas that this Constitution and the laws and treaties which shall be made in pursuance thereof are the supreme law of the land. And anything in the Constitution of any state, Texas is a state, or laws to the contrary is void. And the judges of every state shall be bound thereby. The federal Constitution. That means when I peacefully assemble in front of the FBI in my vehicle with my American United States flags nearby, doing no screaming, no shouting, no yelling, just peacefully protesting the United States federal government and the state of Texas government by not eating and not drinking water. And I will continue to do this until the president of Russia or of Korea, of Iran, of Iraq, of China, and any other state of the United Nations or somebody having powers underneath our one real God, put a stop to the evils that have been visited upon me by both the United States government, that means people, and the government of the state of Texas, violating God-given rights without due process.